This is the All About Digital Marketing podcast.
Hi everybody, I'm Chris, I'm the CEO of Social Link, and today I'm joined by Gareth Alvarez, our head of content from Social Link.
Hello.
And Anna Simmons, our head of social media at Social Link.
Hey everyone.
Today we want to talk a little bit about how to come up with ideas for your digital marketing. When we talk about digital marketing in this case, and what we're talking about in terms of creativity and ideas, we're talking about social media, your blogs, live videos, email newsletters, lead magnets, whatever you can think of that would be encompassed within digital marketing. The principles about coming up with ideas are the same. And I think we've been pretty good ourselves over the last few months at coming up with these ideas and showcasing things that you can do as a business. And we've done it to the extreme. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through the episode, I'm sure. But for now, Gareth, as our head of content, we've done a lot of blogging, and you can talk a little bit about June and the challenge that we set ourselves internally. But give people a little bit of insight as to how we come up with blog titles, how we come up with ideas as to what we're going to write about.
Okay, well, yeah. So as you mentioned, in June, we set ourselves a challenge to write 100 blogs in 30 days. Now, that was quite a significant challenge. It took a lot of hard work to actually come up with the ideas, but also to create the content. However, we'll give you a little bit of an insight into the process. So you don't have to go away and start creating 100 blogs every month. Starting off with one a week is good enough, or two, up to you, but at least getting started is the trick. But when it comes to coming up with ideas for what those blogs will be, there are many different avenues that you can pursue. The easiest one is to start off with who you are, what you do, or in fact what you're up to. All of these things that sort of tell people a little bit about you as a person, or you as a brand, or as a company, as a business. These are valuable blog topics to use, or in fact they're useful topics no matter what the type of content that you're creating is. It could be for a video, it could be for a podcast, it could be for a landing page, it could be for an email newsletter, it could be for anything. So that's something that's very, very important to remember, is that you need to tell people a little bit about yourself and why they should be interested in working with you or buying from you. And you've also got to remember that different people prefer different channels. So some might prefer to read, some might prefer to listen, some might prefer to watch. And you have to think about creating content for all those different channels as well. For that reason, it's really important to repurpose your content. So if you've already got a blog, then can you transform it into something else, into another kind of medium? So could it become a video? Could it become something audio, or an infographic, or whatever? So in terms of coming up with ideas, what have you got that already exists that can be transformed into something new, or can be modified into a different format? What is it that you're already doing that would be of interest to someone who is looking at your business, or interested in either purchasing from you, or interested in finding out about your service? And again, it's all about sort of establishing yourself at the very, very beginning. After that, then you can go down the avenue that we used for 100 blogs, which was more of a keyword focused strategy. But I will let Chris talk to you a little bit more about sort of using keywords as a strategy to create content ideas.
Yeah, so I think the interesting part is, again, we always talk about a strategy. What are the goals? What are you trying to achieve? And I think that always starts at the very beginning of any conversation we have. And it's the same when it comes to the creativity side of things. So understanding what it is you're trying to do, build an audience, build a following, get more signups, sell more product. That always has to be at the heart of everything you're doing. But the creative aspect and the ability to then know what sort of things you can create, or what sort of things you could start creating, That really focuses, as Gareth said, the starting point. Who are you? What do you do? Who's in the team? What can you talk about? The industry in general, relevant events, things that are happening in the news that are around your industry. All of those things are easy pickings, as we call them. They're the ones that you can come up with pretty quickly. And so, you know, I could give you 5 titles right now. Why you started Company X. Who are the main team members of Company X? What's the main focus of Company X? So what do you do? How do you do it? The idea of how Company X fits into industry Y. And for example, as a last one, how you established yourself as a person within industry Y and why you're actually loving the industry that you work in. 5 titles that you could create content right now about who you are, what you do, what you're in, what the industry you're in. But then it gets a little bit more difficult. And then that's when the creativity side comes in. As part of any good strategy, you should be looking at what other people are doing, what competitors are doing, what the industry specific websites are talking about, etc. And that's going to give you a host of, or a wealth of information and knowledge to help you start generating these ideas. But more importantly, keeping the consumer in mind. So it's no point in you writing something that you really want to write, that's always been your dream to write about, you know, how the adhesive on the back of a stamp works, if that's not actually who you're trying to sell to. You need to keep that in mind at all times. So coming up with creative ideas and trying to build up ideas that really resonate with the person and with your objective at the same time. So in terms of content, you could start talking about your particular product, the ingredients that go into your product. For example, I always end up talking about a cupcake business. I think that might just be the fat kid inside me that always wants to have a cupcake. But the idea being, you can talk about the ingredients, you can talk about the process, you can talk about how you make them, you can talk about the differentiation between something that comes from a factory and something that's home baked, for example, whatever it might be. But you can start coming up with ideas that are surrounding your business and that surround your product, which in line helps build that trust, build that relationship with your audience, and will take them through to X, whatever that goal is, whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. So for example, a really cool cupcake recipe that you could make at home, obviously you wouldn't give away your secret recipe, but a recipe that you can make at home is going to get people that are interested in cupcakes, etc., onto your website and potentially to sign up to get more cool ideas about how to make cupcakes. As part of that, obviously, your newsletter sign-ups are growing, but what you're really trying to do is then convert those newsletter sign-ups into people who go, do you know what, today I don't want to make the cupcakes myself because I have a job, because I'm working, I don't have the time this weekend or whatever else, but I do need 20 cupcakes for a party that I'm running at the weekend. This is always the goal. Whatever it is that you're trying to achieve at the end, more sales, more newsletter subscribers, whatever else, you can create that content from that sort of stream of ideas that you're coming up with. But I think I'll come over to Anna as well. Some of the things, because we're now talking more about the process of content creation rather than the idea side of it. But we use a lot of things internally to keep a track of ideas or to find new ideas. We talk a little bit about what we do in terms of Quora, research for keywords, for example, things like that we use to try and develop our ideas, our idea flow.
Yeah, in terms of idea generation, there's a lot out there online that will help you create ideas that aren't just, like you were saying, they aren't just things that you want to already talk about. In order to be strategic, you have to think about what your audience wants. And a lot of people, particularly small businesses, you don't have a market research team, and you don't know necessarily, because this is a stage where I see a lot of people get stuck and they're like, well, I don't know what people want exactly, other than people buy cupcakes because they want the cupcake, but how do I talk to them before they're at that stage? And so it's a matter of, if you use Quora, so Quora, if you're not familiar, it's sort of like, it's like a question and answer site where people can leave a question. It covers every single topic under the sun. It's not just like marketing topics or business topics. People will talk about personal stuff or whatever. Like if you're familiar with Yahoo Answers back in the day when that was still a popular thing, it's a bit like that. And so you can use that to see what topics people are most interested in. So that's a really great idea generator. It's also a really great way to offer value and actually answer some questions too. But it gives you a lot of insight into what people are already asking and what they want to know. And then in terms of competitor research, yeah, just look at what your competitors are doing. And also in terms of social media, you can use things like your current audience. Even if it's small, you can still ask people, what are they interested in? You could have polls to sort of vote on what the next guide or article is going to be. You can engage with people in a different way other than just posting a blog or getting in depth in terms of who you are and what you do. You can engage people in different ways depending on what platforms you use. Because digital marketing, again, isn't just blogging. It isn't just social media. So some of the ideas that you come up with might be best for an advertisement, or some of the ideas might be based on, a specific holiday or something, in which case what you can do is target things like Google searches. So digital marketing applies to all of those things. So again, like Gareth was saying, you can repurpose ideas. But in terms of coming up with all of these ideas and actually making them happen, which matters a lot. You don't want to just come up with ideas all the time. Especially creative business owners tend to do this a lot. They'll come up with a ton of ideas and not actually action them. So we use tools like Asana to keep track of this for the team. And if you're working solo or you have a small team, I still recommend using a tool like Asana, because it's great to just be able to sort of brain dump everything and then sort through it and categorize it later, and actually start setting yourself deadlines. And more importantly, you can start looking at how everything works together. So if you are starting with the end goal in mind, like you should be, then you can work backward from there and sort of see how all those little pieces work together. And then you can sort of see where the gaps are as well. So that can be really good for idea generation, because you might realize that you have a ton of ideas for people for a specific platform or for a specific question that they have, and that you don't actually cover enough of a different topic or a different angle. So when you have a tool like Asana, that is actually, it's not just for project management, it is brilliant for idea generation. And it sort of helps you focus on that end goal.
I think to round this up very quickly, because we're getting to roughly the time, but James Altucher, who's an author, he's written a couple of books, things like Choose Yourself and other things, but he always talks about it. He says that the ideas generating part of your brain is like any other muscle. And so if you want to get stronger, faster, whatever it might be with your body, you would go to start doing training. So you would repetition, you do things, exercise regularly, whatever it would be. But when it comes to ideas, the same is true there. And I think something that's really interesting that he talks about is he goes, every day, challenge yourself to come up with 10 ideas. Now, you're not 10 ideas that you have to execute on, not 10 ideas that you have to write those blogs for straight away, but you're starting to train yourself to be creative in that sense. So you can come up with 10 ideas and you can sit down and jot down these 10 ideas. If you did that every day, by the end of the year, you've got 3,600 and something ideas. But the beauty of it would be actually from those 3,600 ideas, you could narrow that down and you might have a few ideas that are absolutely stellar and things that potentially might have huge impact on your business. So don't be afraid to try and to keep doing this, even if you end up writing off all the ideas at the beginning. Finding ways to flex your creativity and flex your creative muscles is a really good thing. And the last thing that I'll drop in there is, for example, for creatives, it's 1 minute briefs. So every day there's a brief for an advertising idea. And the idea is very simple: 60 seconds, 1 minute, come up with a brief, come up with an idea for that particular advertising. I believe that today, whilst we're doing this recording, it's conservatories, for example. And here at the team, since March, we've basically set ourselves a goal of coming up with an idea for OMB every single day to make sure that, again, we're constantly training and we're constantly pushing our own creativity, and that we're never sat there stale and just sort of doing the same thing day in, day out. So I think that would be the piece of advice I would give, and the one that'd be the most valuable. Just start jotting down the ideas. It doesn't matter if you don't execute on 99% of them, but the 1% that you do will be absolutely invaluable, and it will be worthwhile as an exercise and to help you just to become more and more creative as you go along. Guys, thank you very much as always, and we'll see you soon for the next one. Please make sure you subscribe and let us know and give us any feedback you have on the episode.
Thank you.
Thanks.